In a previous video, we looked at creating the toe chart for number 9 on page 97. Now I want to look at how we apply that to the GUI. So I have started a project and I have a form here. I've pulled the properties up. And looking at the toe chart here, okay, I have input of text regular coffee amount. I'm going to highlight that. And so I need 2 text boxes for my input. So I'm going to come down here and grab a text box, and I'm going to change the name from the default text box 1. Don't ever leave the default to that amount we put in the toe chart. And I think that's all I need to do for this one, unless you want to resize it. And so let's go grab the next text box, and that's going to be called text decaf amount, I believe. And again, nothing to do. I'm all done with that. And so now what else does my toe chart tell me I need? Well, for output, I will need some labels. And so I'm going to need labels to hold the total pounds after I add together the regular and the decaf amounts. So I'm going to grab a label and drag it on here, maybe a little bit lower to separate the input from the output. Now, one thing they tell you on page 53 when you first work on designing a GUI was to set the auto size to false for a label. And the reason we're going to do that is we don't want that to say label 1 when the user runs the program. We want it to be empty until they've clicked the calculation button, and then we'll do that. So I'm going to change the auto size to false. I'm going to change the name of the label to label total pounds. And I think she also likes you to do the border. So I'm going to set and give it a border, fix single. And one more thing I need to do is I do not want it to say label 1. So I'm coming down to the text property and I'm removing that. And then I'll do it again. Exact same thing, come up to auto size and set that to false. Border style, fix single, no label. I don't want it to say label 1, so I take the text out. And then I come up to the name. Let me take a look at what I said I was going to do on my toe chart. I said I was going to call it label total amount. So that's what I want you to get, how the toe chart is going to help me with knowing what to put on here and what I said I was going to call it. These are called objects, okay? Oh, very good. And I think I have 2 more objects to look at, and that are my buttons, okay? So I'm going to have a button to calculate and a button to end the program. So typically buttons are just going to come across right here. So let me look. Oh, there's my buttons, and drag it on here. And I'm going to call that button calc. But I don't want it to say button 1, so I'm going down to the text property and changing that to say calculate, and using my ampersand there. So I have an access key, and let's do another button for exit. Okay, so I'm going to call that ampersand exit, and we'll give it a name of button exit. Okay, not quite done with my GUI. A couple more things you should do is throw some labels on here to describe what input you're expecting there. So these labels, I do not care when you're just identifying what to put in for input. I do not care whether you change that name. Only when you have objects related to input and output in your calculations, which these are input and these are output, that you really have to change the name. If you want to, that's fine, but you don't have to. So label 1 is going to hold the text. How many pounds of regular coffee, question mark. And of course, I knew when I was typing that it was going to be way too wide, so I'll have to redesign my GUI. And then another label. Okay, and I'm going to stop right here. I'll be right back. Okay, well, I have added all of the labels now to identify my input and output. You notice I also changed the title, which is the text property of the form, and I changed the name of the form to form order. And that is applying your toe chart.